by that stage. By that stage, my face was all tingly up through here. I kept biting my lip because my lip was all numb. I couldn't raise my arm any further than this, and the vision was still doing it. And I was still working as a program director for Jenny Craig. Now, in the lead up to that, yes, I ran for the federal election. Didn't get elected, but that's okay. I came 5th out of 55, and I'm pretty proud of what I achieved for that. And a lot of the policies that we stood for in the Australian Sex Party are now actually law in Victoria. Our state's a little bit more progressive than the rest of the states, and that's voluntary assisted dying, legalising cannabis, and same-sex marriage. So I was working as a program director for Jenny Craig, and I can't multitask anymore. I'm a little bit better than what I was. So I know what it's like, guys, to have a man's brain, and I know what it's like to have a female brain. One that used to be able to multitask and one that can't multitask anymore. So I can sympathise with the guys in the group, all right, on how frustrating it is, because I'm frustrated by it. Yeah, so I went to the neurologist, and it was 8:30 in the morning, and had a girlfriend with me, and by that stage I'd met another guy, and I'd recently got engaged, and I was on top of the world. Life was great. We were looking at buying a house in WA. Zach had just gone off to the army, had Ellie at home who was 14. I was in my dream job. I'd spent my whole career working up to being a program director for Jenny Craig. And things were great, but the universe saw something else. I can remember seeing his mouth word, "You've got MS." Didn't hear it. And from that moment on, the world that I knew changed. In the blink of an eye, everything that I thought that was going to happen, I knew wasn't going to. It all changed. I ended up staying at work for another month. I went in and told them that I had MS. Now, Mum died from complications from MS. So after she got the MS, she then got cervical cancer when she was 40, and she got lung cancer when she was 49. But she died from complications from the MS at the age of 49 years of age. And so here I was, it was 2 weeks after my 40th birthday that I was diagnosed. And that just scared the living bejeebies out of me. I'm like, I've got 9 years left. That's all I've got, 9 years. How am I going to tell my kids? How am I going to tell Kelly, who I was seeing at the time? And how am I going to tell my grandparents and my family and my brother that that's what I had? So Kelly was away on the mines. I called into work on the way home because I had to work the afternoon shift from 1 to 9, and I told my boss, in tears, because my whole world had just shattered. You know what she told me to do? Go home, put your uniform on, and come back and work. You've got a shift to do. You'll be fine. And I did. I went home, put my big girl panties on, and I went back to work. What I should have said was, no, get stuffed, you can keep your job. But I didn't. I went back to work. A month later, I was even worse. So I went into my neuro again, and he said, do you need to work? And Kelly came with me, and he goes, no, she doesn't. And then he goes, well, you're not going back to work. So I went on sick leave for 3 months, thinking, oh yeah, I need 3 months. In that 3 months, I'll be fine. Now, Kelly didn't really acknowledge the MS. He did the whole ostrich in the sand thing, which a lot of partners do. I don't blame him. That was his coping mechanism. And I wasn't allowed to talk about it around him. So I started a Facebook group, because there weren't any back then, for people with MS in Australia, and it's called Supporting Each Other with MS in Australia, and it still runs now. We've got about 700 people in that group. And I'm pretty proud of that group, because it's a safe space that you can go into and you can vent and bitch about your partner and your family and your friends if they're not getting it. And everyone in there understands, because every single person in that group has got MS. He told me one good thing, that neurologist. He said, you're going to have a lot of time on your hands, you better find a hobby. And I went, oh, okay. I always wanted to learn how to paint. Now, back in the early 90s, some of you might remember Blue Iris Cottage on Church Street, Hobby Ceramics. Anyone remember that? Di does, she used to run it. And so I started in hobby ceramics, and that was about the only form of artwork that I did. And I was pretty good at it, wasn't I, Di? Yeah. I used to supply 5 shops here, Langdocklin, Armidale, and became the head steward at the show as well for that. And I won champion and, you know, lots. I got boxes and ribbons at home. So that was about my only art experience. But I always wanted to learn how to paint and thought, oh, I'll do it when I retire one day. Anyone else like that? They've got a hobby that they want to do, but they can't find the time. I'll do it one day. I'm telling you now, do it now. Make time now, because one day may never come. So one of my Weight Watchers members owned an art studio not far from me, and I rang her up and I said, oh, I'd like to come and learn how to paint. She goes, sure, Jess, come along. And I drove there, and I sat in the car, and I couldn't get out for 4 months. I'd drive there, sit in the car, couldn't get out. Drive home crying. My anxiety had become so bad that, and some of you might relate to this, being locked in with COVID, that your house became your sanctuary, but then after a period of time it becomes your jail. But I felt safe in my house, but I wanted to get out. I thrived to get out with other people, yet my anxiety would not let me in through the door. Then one day I got really angry at myself, and I thought, how bad can it be? Just walk inside. You can always walk straight back out. That was my plan. Walk in, walk out. I walked in, Karen saw me, sat me down, and I started to learn how to draw and paint. And I am one of these people that is naturally gifted in it. Don't really have to think too much about it, it just flows out. And these are some of my paintings and drawings. I'll make mention of the frog down the bottom. He's actually finger painted. So you only need some paint. You don't need fancy equipment to create art. Basil, the big giraffe in the middle, I entered him. I really wanted to keep him. So I put $690 on him in an exhibition at Federation Square in the middle of Melbourne. I've exhibited there 4 times now, and I thought, oh, $690, no one will buy it, it's too expensive. No, it's sold. And so I don't have very good photos of that one. But yeah, I'm known for Basil down in Victoria. So there's some of my pieces of work. I do 3D sculptures. That giraffe, Mavis, she's in my front yard. So everyone in Geelong knows me, knows my house, and you'll see there's a slide in a little while on what it looks like. The Zonta Commitment and Conviction Courage I won in 2015, and that one, I don't know if you can see up the back, but all the words of what people, I got them to describe me in Facebook on, give one word, and that's what's on the one side, and the other side are all the MS hidden symptoms. And there's some more artwork, and that's the last piece I sold, was that one of resilience in the heart. So our heart keeps beating even though we go through adversities and have broken hearts. I was on the TV show Colour in Your Life with Graham Stevenson, and some exciting news is that TV show is being put down into, I don't know what kind of file it is, but it's going on the rocket to the moon in 2024. So my artwork's going to be on the moon forever. And I'm sure it was one of my nephews or Simon the other night said, well, that's a really bad audience up there. I can't remember which one of you said it, but yeah, you know, some alien might be coming past one day and pick it up and go, oh, you know, in 1,000 years or whatever. But yeah, so that's pretty cool to go that. Unfortunately, Graham, who's a really good friend of mine this year, passed away from poisoning from red oil paints. So be very careful when you're painting. So when I lost all my weight, I started modelling more. I used to do a bit of modelling around town when I had jangles and up at the showgrounds when people needed it, but you know, I was that plus size model that they needed. But now I get paid to get my gear off every so often. I'm a life drawing model, and I gained so much confidence within my body. Always hated my legs, and I'll tell you why in a moment. So much confidence being a life drawing model. Just to see how beautiful someone can draw you without the cellulite is amazing. So that boosted up my body confidence, and those two were taken last year, the other two, for a over 50s exhibition that's going to happen at the beginning of next year. So trials and tribulations. So I got diagnosed with EMS. Kelly decided 11 months after we moved to Victoria, so we moved over to be near my family and friends, that it wasn't for him. And I caught him out having an affair with his boss, and then he turned around and said me having MS would affect his goals and dreams in life. See you later. But that's okay, that's his journey. Alright, I've got so much more now than if I'd been with him. So the universe does take care of you. Then 2013 I developed a heart problem, just by chance, because the MS wasn't enough, and I had AF. So I went in for my first pulmonary vein ablation and had heart surgery. And the doctor said to me, if it's still happening, it may come back in 12 weeks. You've got 12 weeks. If it comes back within the 12 weeks, then we'll have to do it again. Now I got to 11 weeks and I was competing in Olympic weightlifting, because I decided that I'd done powerlifting and competed in the Australian Masters Games, and then I swapped over to Olympic weightlifting because Ali was doing Olympic weightlifting by that stage as well, and we had a really good coach in Victoria, and she was training 8 hours a week, and if you're a mum with someone at sport, you know how boring that is. So I started training and joked that, oh yeah, I'm going to become an Australian champion one day in Olympic weightlifting. I'm disabled, I was overweight, and here I was wanting to be an Olympic sporting champion. Yeah, right. But I did it. And then the heart started. 12 weeks later, 11 weeks to the day, I was competing in Olympic weightlifting and my chest just started beating. And then it stopped. I'm like, oh, you're imagining it. 2 days later, I was in emergency, sirens blaring, lights flashing on the ambulance with a resting heart rate of 217 beats a minute. And that was in February 2014. So I had to have another pulmonary vein ablation because one wasn't enough, and had that done. They punctured holes in your heart and they go in the spot welder around pulmonary veins, and it wasn't pleasant. My first question was to the surgeon, when can I go back to training? He goes, well, this time you better wait a month, because last time he told me a week and I was back training a week after having heart surgery, so this time I had to wait a month. So then things were alright, and then I was missing heartbeats. And missing those heartbeats then led me to my third heart surgery in 2015. I was missing 1 in every 5 heartbeats. The average person misses about 25 beats in a 24-hour period, and I was missing 1 in every 5. So they were worried that I was going to throw a clot and have and die of an embolism. So all through that, I was on MS modification drugs, so disease modifying therapy they're called. And I started on that not long after I got diagnosed in 2011, and I used to have to shoot up every day with a product called Copaxone. Then I relapsed and that was a fail. Then they put me on the big guns called Tysabri, and I loved it. I felt really good on it. It enabled me to do a lot of things, and every 4 weeks I'd go to hospital and have the infusion. Then there's a thing called the John Cunningham virus in your brain, so JC virus, and 90-something% of the population has this virus, and it's nothing to worry about unless you mix it with some of these disease-modifying therapies, and then it can lead to another brain condition called PML, which will leave you in a vegetative state or kill you, and then the MS still progresses along if you're in a vegetative state. So I was JC positive, and I stayed on that infusion for 37 months. And then my veins kept collapsing, and it was like, well, this is not working, let's put you on something else. They put me on one called Gilenia. I was on that for 4 months and ended up with shingles and had 7 major infections in that 4 months. And if I stayed on it any longer, that would have killed me, so I come off that one. Then they put me on Aubagio. Now, I waited 5 months to go on Aubagio because it scared the shit out of me. It took 2 years to naturally come out of your body. And that to me was just, it's not natural, is it? All the rest take about 6-7 weeks, but 2 years, no. Anyway, I waited that 5 months, and in that 5 months I got new lesions. So it was one little bit of regret there. But went on Aubagio, and then I started going purple. So you'll see my arm on the right hand side. My arms and my feet were purple. And I was at the Australian Masters Olympic Weightlifting Championships in Tasmania and the Pacific Rim and the Oceanus competing. And it was about May 2016. I came back to the doctor and I had some photos. Well, that's just me in the chair. So there we go. So I had this photo up on the left-hand side, and I went into the doctor, and she goes, "It's nothing to worry about. Come back in 4 months if it's still happening." And I went, "Oh, okay. That doesn't sound right to me." So I went to get a second opinion, and he sent me off to a rheumatologist. I was booked in for a rheumatologist, the dermatologist, and then the haematologist, all within about a 4-week period. Went to the rheumatologist, he looked at it. So there's 3 things that can cause livideo, and that is rheumatoid arthritis, lupus, or lymphoma. And he ruled out the first 2 of connective tissue disorders, and I walked out of there going, "Oh my God, I think I've got lymphoma." He goes, "You better go to the dermatologist and just get it checked." So I went off to the dermatologist, and she took one look at my feet. So you'll see the colour, how purple my feet were. And my hands, and went, "You've definitely got livideo. When was the last time you had a skin check done?" I went, "Oh, my former GP did one, but she was also the one that told me that, you know, don't worry about it, come back in 4 months." And she said, "Oh, well, you're here now, we may as well do a check." And I said, "Well, is it going to cost me anything extra?" She goes, "Oh, no, it's all part of it." I went, "All right then, check away." Feeling pretty confident because Phil Corrier cut about 10 moles off me when I was living here, and I've always, you know, checked my back and my arms. Forgot about other body parts. And then she burnt 2 off my face and did a biopsy of this tiny little 3mm mole on my leg. She said, "Don't worry about it," and I wasn't, because I was spitting out at that stage going, "I've got lymphoma." She confirmed that it was livideo. The only other thing that it could have been was lymphoma. Wasn't worried about my leg, and I'd had heaps cut off in the past. Not even 24 hours later, I was walking through a shopping centre, and the phone rang, and I answered it, and it was the nurse. And she goes, "I'm just ringing to tell you you've got melanoma." Now, I can't say in public what I actually said, but you can imagine, it's a fire truck, that I went, "No, I don't." She goes, "Yes, you do." I said, "No, I've got lymphoma." She goes, "No, you've got melanoma. You have to come back in next week and have it all cut out." Oh, okay. Straight back down to my GP. "Is that why I'm going purple, Mark?" And he goes, "No, it's an entirely separate issue." Okay. So I went in the next week, had the leg all chopped out, and then went to the haematologist. Now, the haematologist had my massive list of what's wrong. I said, "I won't have on there that I've got melanoma." And "When did you have that?" I said, "Oh, last week." She's like, "Oh, well, we're going to have to do a bone marrow biopsy and all these other tests." So I had a PET scan, CAT scan, bone marrow biopsy. By the time it was December, they knew that I had lymphoma, but they didn't know what type. It doesn't happen like it does in the movies or on, you know, one of those 1-hour TV shows. And I had lost the ability to hold a pen and a paintbrush. So what was keeping me happy and sane and was my form of meditation and creating art no longer existed. So then I kept getting tagged in all these posts on Facebook on finger painting. And I went, "Oh, I wonder if I can still do that," because I could hold my hands like this, I just couldn't go like that. And I started creating, and I sold my first finger painting piece for $400. I'm like, yes, I can still make money, I've still got some purpose. So the rash that you can see on me is that's a mixed cryoglobule anemia rash, as well as mixed in with the livideo reticularis. They started me on chemo. I had to do a flush out system for the Aubagio, which took 3 weeks of taking this vile syrup 3 times a day, and then I started on chemo. Now, when I got diagnosed with the cancer, so in the January it came back that I had the chronic lymphocystic leukemia and the small lymphocystic lymphoma. They'd cut the melanoma out by that stage, but I still had the mixed cryoglobule anemia and the livideo reticularis. And where am I up to? Oh, none of you are listening?
Yeah. I don't know how to pronounce that.
Flushed, right. Thanks, Riz. At least my sister-in-law's listening. Told you all of a sudden it'll just go. So I did the flush, and then in the March started on the chemo. That's right, that's where I was going with this. When I started on the chemo, and this is going to sound really awful, but I'm going to be honest with you, I thought, oh my God, for once in my life I'm going to be thin. I'm going to be thin. Oh my God. Because I'd never been able to get under 78 kilos. I'm going to be thin. Wow. No. Universe had other ideas for me. I had an allergic reaction to the chemo and they put me on steroids for 12 months. Yeah. And Charlie put on 20 kilos. Not happy at all. So yeah, be careful what you put out to the universe is all I can say. So I came through 2 years of treatment. I was on a chemo called bendamustine, which is a derivative of the mustard gas that they give you in World War, what they killed everyone with in World War II, and another thing called rituximab. And I was on rituximab for about 2.5 years, going to hospital once a month, having that done. I happened to be in 2018 on Instagram, and someone's profile popped up on there, and I thought, oh, you're very game. So this is pre me getting my gear off being paid for. And there was this really large woman in a bikini, and I read through some of the comments, and then I read her bio, and she had a condition called lymphedema. Has anyone ever heard of it? You have? Yeah. So I went off to my doctor and said, I think I've got this. You know, I Googled it, as we all do. And he said to me, oh, there's no such word. No such thing. It's an American term. I'm like, are you sure? Because, you know, I read a bit about it online. No, but I'll send you off to a physio. I went to the physio. She told me to drop my tracksuit pants, but I didn't. She goes, oh, yeah, you got really fat legs, haven't you? Yeah, I know. I walk around every day with these fat legs. Thank you very much. And I said, oh, my doctor doesn't think there's a thing called lymphedema. So you can either pronounce it lymphedema or lymphedema. And she's like, well, he's a fool, isn't he? And handed me a brochure for the Lymphedema Association of Australia. All right. Now, at that point, it hadn't been registered with the World Health Organization. It now has. It has its own Medicare number, finally. And it affects 11% of all women. And guess what? It's genetic. My mum had it, my auntie's got it, I've had 2 grandmothers that had it, and my great-grandmother that's got it. I'm pretty sure my son's got it as well, but it skipped Ellie, thank goodness. Now, my legs are a bit thinner than that nowadays. You'll see that there's banding at the bottom near the ankle, and there's no calf muscle, and there's all this fat pad around the knees. It's resistance to weight loss. That's why it took me 445 weeks to get to goal weight, because it just didn't want to come off. 0.1 a week. And it's also known as painful fat syndrome. So I can't tell you if a lot of pain in my legs is actually from the MS or if it's from the lymphedema. Cross country at school, I was always last to walk in, because it's really painful to run. So painful to run. So if you know someone that's got legs that look similar to this, chances are they've got lymphedema, and tell them to Google it. The only real thing that you can do, especially if you're younger, is have lipo done on it, liposuction. That's about $20,000 a leg. I'm now out of that category because I've got such a high infection rate that it would probably kill me if I had that done. Having the chemo has wiped out my immune system. So I have no T cells left and no B cells left. So they're the cells that help fight infections. But it also means that MS, they think, travels on Bs and Ts. So I am not on any MS drugs anymore. Being triple vaxxed led to the cancer coming back this year, but I've gone back down into remission again, and I've got long COVID on that list as well. And the mast cell activation syndrome is one of the things that is a long-term side effect of COVID now that they're discovering on there. Anyway, let's get rid of those legs. So treatment nowadays, when COVID happened, so I was going in to build up my immune system. So I'm neutropenic, borderline neutropenic, but I'm leukopenic and lymphopenic all the time. So I don't have the white blood cells to fight infections. I've had a sinus infection since February, and I've probably been on about 12 lots of antibiotics, and I can't shift it. And they decided that 2.5 years ago, nearly 3 years ago now, that they would put me on other people's antibodies. So they get it when someone gives blood, they collect all the antibodies in a pool, and that helps boost your immune system. So when COVID happened, they went, well, you're going to have to learn how to do it yourself weekly. I'm like, oh no, I'm not good with needles. Anyone else here not good with needles? Yeah? Oh no. Anyway, I am now. So every week for the last nearly 3 years, 2 years. I can't count anymore. That's one of my symptoms as well. I don't know. Is it 2 years? Beginning of 2020. Yeah, 2 years. I put 3 needles in me, and I give myself Hydrenza each and every week. I cannot leave home without it. So it's in my bag. Tomorrow night I'll give myself the infusion, or I always have to carry a week or two with me because I can't go to a pharmacy and just pick it up. I have to make sure that I've got it there. Every time I go on a plane, I've got to carry it as hand luggage, and that little syringe thing, the pump, that's the pump, they pull me up thinking that it's a gun because it's got a big spring in it. So I'm not one of these ones that can whiz through the airport security. So everyone kept asking me, how come you're so resilient? I'm like, I don't know, I'm just me. I don't know what I'm doing. I had to sit down and work it out. And then I came up with the 10 top tips. And I've been an MS ambassador for Victoria since 2013, going out and educating people on what it's like to live with a hidden chronic disease, because I don't look disabled, and that in itself is a disability, because I have a disabled car parking permit that I haven't used in town here because everything's so close, but in the big shopping centres at home, and that I definitely on my bad days use that disabled car park, and I get abused all the time for using it. So be very careful on what you're saying and that to people, because we don't all look disabled yet. I am. Disabled toilets is another thing as well. I get told off for using a disabled toilet. I normally say, and it is the cranky old men most of the time when I'm parking in the disabled car parks, and say, look, you can have my car park, but as a package deal, mate, you've got to take the MS and the cancers with it. And they're like, and off they go. So I shut them down pretty quickly. It's funny how if you're walking with a walking stick, no one says anything except for, oh, what happened to you? People are really nosy when you're with a mobility aid. They want to know what's happened. And that's really rude to do that, to ask. So I became a resilience consultant. Now, remember my neurologist said to me that I would never work again. So Just Art was born in 2013 and I registered that business then. Resilience Mindset was the next one. And in the last 12 months, this is just some of the media that I've actually had done to boost my credibility, and because people are always asking for interviews and articles to be written on resilience, and in particularly my story. So I strongly believe that my story is someone else's survival guide. You know, you're all sitting here tonight, and I thank you very much for taking the time out to come here. And if you take away one thing tonight, then it's worth me standing up here and talking to you all. In the last 12 months, I've been nominated for 29 awards, and out of that, I've won 8. And this Saturday night, I've got another award ceremony. I seem to be always, those that follow me on social media will know that I'm always splitting off to some awards somewhere around. But it's really nice to be recognised. She's going to be my hand. It's really nice to be recognised for all the hard work that I've done. And I've won Mumpreneur Coach of the Year and Disabled Business Excellence. I've won that twice, and then last year I won Creative Artist of the Year for Australia in the Rural Awards. This Saturday night it's the International Speaker of the Year Award and International Coach of the Award, and then the Judges Award as well. So I just like going along and networking and chatting to people, and you never know who's going to be sitting there for those. So this is my house. Life's too short to be beige as far as I'm concerned. I've got no intention of selling it anytime soon, and Therefore, hence why it's nice and bright. You think the outside's bright, you wait till you see the inside. No, just kidding. It's quite funny, you know, I go somewhere in Geelong and say, oh, I'm Justine from Just Art. Oh, you're the one with the big giraffe out the front. There's 250,000 people that live in Geelong, but everyone knows where I live. People walk past and they'll take photos and put them on Instagram and tag us in and everything like that. I've got a 6-metre sausage dog along the side fence that my partner and I made before he passed away this year. So that's my little backyard, and there's Pansy, the superstar model that she is. And yes, that is a bath, and yes, it is plumbed in, and yes, it does have hot water. Because, you know, it's too cold down in Victoria to go to the beach. So then my next business was born, and that's Van Gogh decals. So my artwork goes on very large decals for caravans, camper vans, and wherever you want to stick them, wheelie bins, you name it. And if you notice here on my house, I've got them on my bedroom windows. So that one there is one-way vision, so I can see out, but people can't see in, so I can lay on my bed and watch everyone walk past, and we can design them for any size window. So on caravans, camper vans, wherever you want to put them, and at the moment I'm doing a commission piece for a guy, and it will go on the back wheel cover on his 4-wheel drive camper van. And he just knocked on the door one day and asked if I could paint him this big bonsai board that's been touring around Australia, and I'm like, oh yeah, sure. I'm one of these people that will say yes and then work out how to do it afterwards, with the help of the University of YouTube, of course, in order to do that. And this helps with memory issues. Who's got a caravan? A few of you? Yep. You know when you go into the caravan park and you might be the first one there or second one there, and you know where your van is, and by the time you come back to your van, there's about 30, and you go, God, which one's mine? Anyone had that happen? No? Some of it? Who's parked their car in a big shopping centre and gone to get in the wrong car? Yes. Oh, right, okay, now we're on. So I sell little decals for cars as well, so you can put a butterfly or a frog on them. As you can see, that was my car down there. It's a bit naked at the moment. I'm about to put a whole heap more on there because I had a bit of a car accident with a tornado 2 years ago, but that's a whole different story, that one. My poor auntie who was on the phone when I'm like, I'm gonna die! And all the side of the car got bashed in by a tree. That was great. So, I don't own one business, 2 businesses, 3 businesses. I now own 6, and this is what they are. There's Justine Martin Corporation, which is the umbrella, because it was just too hard when you ring up and say, it's Justine from blah, 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 blah. So we just say, my staff now say it's Susie from Justine Martin Corporation. And then there is, so Just Art, Van Gogh decals, Team Fingerprint, Resilience Mindset, Morpheus Publishing, finger painting for grown-up parties that I do, and I've got a podcast as well. So let's quickly go through the self-care tip, the 10 top tips. Self-care is really, really important when you are trying to overcome adversity. Be kind to yourself and treat yourself how you expect others to be treated. Take time out of your day if you're working from home to concentrate on you, and it's not about being selfish. Take care of your personal hygiene. Now you would think that would be a given, but some people it isn't. Have a bath or a shower every single day. Keep your environment clean, wash your sheets, your towels weekly, and wash your clothes regularly. Clean your environment. If you're struggling mentally, then reach out to places like Lifeline, a GP for a mental health care plan, or talk to someone. When I started chemo, 3 of my girlfriends in a 6-week period all killed themselves. And they never reached out to anyone. It was absolutely devastating. I was fighting for my life, and here they all were taking their own lives. It doesn't take much to say, are you okay? Someone will say, oh yeah, I'm fine. Fine is not an answer. Are you really okay? Right? We have the age of social media. If you're not okay, inbox someone. Inbox me. I've had many people inbox me, and I've actually stopped them from doing the inevitable. Find your tribe. Whether it's your church, online networking, or the wisdom from wise people in your community, being your elders, but find your tribe. We are the sum of the 5 people that we hang around. And if you're hanging around with negative people all the time, bugger them off and find some positive people. Have you ever been out with someone for the day and you've got home and it's so draining? And you're like, why do I do that? Why don't you say something to them is the first thing I would say. You know, or put boundaries in there. Okay, we're going to go out today. We're not going to talk about this. We're going to avoid talking about that today. Let's talk happy things today. Because you'll feel more empowered and you feel better when you get home from it. Just a simple thing like that. And if they don't listen to you and your boundaries, find someone else. The next time they say, do you want to go out? No, sorry, I'm busy. Routines. Routines are really, really important. Now, even when I was going through chemo, I still got out of bed every day. I might have got in late on the lounge, but I still got out of bed every day. And I made my bed every single day. That might shock you, Di.
Baby girl.
Yeah. Shock you too? Yeah. Some of these people have known me for too long. Shock you too, Riz? It's alright, I've only got a doona. I just flick it off and put the pillows all in there. About 10 pillows. As long as the pillows look good, girls, that's all that matters, doesn't it? If you make your bed every single day, you have achieved one thing for the day. And if the rest of the day goes to baloney, you've already achieved one good thing. And there's nothing nicer than getting into a freshly made bed, is there? So make your bed every day. Don't look at Gracie's bed when we go home because I'm not real good at sheets. Like I said, wash your clothes and bedding weekly. Change your undergarments daily, please. Set an alarm to wake up at the same, you'd be surprised who doesn't. Set an alarm up to wake up each and every day, preferably at the same time. Like I said, make your bed every day. Have your meals at approximately the same time each day. Keep an exercise routine in place if you're not used to going to the gym. Look for things that you can utilise around your home to lift and do things at home. Go for walks at the same time each day. Your evening routine, keep it to the same each and every night as well. Stop all your electronics at least half an hour before you go to bed and don't even have them in the room with you. Read a chapter in a book before going to bed, and I know some really good books that you can make your room comfortable to sleep in. Don't turn the telly on before you go to bed, right? Because you'll be stimulating your brain and you're not going to get a really good night's sleep. And don't laze around on your bed unless you're really sick. Learning. Anyone here doing a course at the moment? Or 2 or 3 like me? I think I'm doing 5 at the moment. Really got to learn how to say no. With time on your hands, why not put it to good use? We should all still be learning. In your 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, you should still all be learning, and that really helps with dementia and keeping you alert. Now, my brain in the last 11, 12 years has actually rewired itself. I can now count a little bit. That might sound strange to you, but 11 years ago, I couldn't even count to 10. I couldn't use a normal clock. I had to rely on digital. And I definitely couldn't multiply or subtract. And that was really hard, using money. COVID did one good thing, not many people use cash anymore. And we all carry a calculator in our pockets nowadays. But I'm a tap girl or a watch girl, because I've got it on my watch and I just tap as I go. So learn something new. There's lots of activities that are free online. I did a couple of university courses on resilience, actually, through COVID, through one of the unis for free. Who knew that there's free uni courses, that you don't end up with a $50,000 HEX bill? Only short courses, but it doesn't matter. Write a book. Whoever here has wanted to write their own book? Awesome. I'm going to remember you guys because I'm going to focus on you at the end. Watch a documentary. Write poetry. Anyone write poetry? Yeah, you do? Fantastic. You're going to put it in a book? I don't know that much. We'll work on that. Learn to play a musical instrument. Who here has ever wanted to learn how to play a musical instrument? Bella. Okay. Who else had their hand up? Yeah, you do? Okay. University YouTube. Again, you can learn any musical instrument on YouTube. Go figure. Or apps on your phone even. There wasn't too many musical instruments that I didn't learn how to play. Through high school, you name the instrument, I learned how to play it so I could then write it. And the best I'm now conducting is you guys out the front. But I still do have some pieces at home that I composed in high school and got A's for, and I wrote my first symphony at 15 and I've still got that one as well. So maybe one day, maybe my funeral they might play it then. Interesting to hear what it sounds like. I know what it sounds like in my head, but you don't want to know what goes on in and out of my head. Learn how to paint or draw. Don't wait until you retire to do that. Go and get some paint and use your fingers. Talk to me if you want to know how to do it. Online first aid courses, or at the moment you can go and do mental first aid courses, which are really, really important. So learning, connecting to the earth. Now it's not a hippie thing to do, okay, to connect back to the earth. Take your shoes off. When was the last time you took your shoes off and stood on some grass? Who said today?
Today, I put the washing out without it.
Yeah, and how did it feel?
Great.
Yeah. When was the last time you went to the park and just took your shoes off and run your feet through the grass? What it actually does is, because of modern day shoes, and we're all wearing rubber soles. Anyone here got a leather sole shoe on? Full leather sole, inside and out. You have, Mary? Yeah. So one person in the whole room has got leather soled shoes on. So you would be grounding when you walk outside onto grass. You'll be releasing the energy, the electricity in your body by grounding. Take your shoes off. Go and sit and just take, and it will relieve pain in your joints and your muscles by doing that. I know it sounds weird, but it works. I've actually got a silver sheet at home that you plug into the PowerPoint, and it earths out to the mains power, so it doesn't conduct electricity through it. I actually can't sleep on it. It hurts me too much to try and get the pain out, so I just go and sit on my little 2 meters of grass out the back. Install a watering system in your yard. Go out there, put in fruit trees, grow your own veggies, use a mineral mask, have a magnesium salt bath, or Epsom salt as we call it, which is why I've got the outside bath, because the inside one wasn't deep enough for my tall body. Ground yourself back to earth. Go out and listen to nature. When was the last time you went to the beach? Might be a bit hard here, but when was the last time you went down the river and just sat there and listened and took some time out for yourself? When was the last time you sat rugged up under a tree in the town parks? Lay down and look up at the sky and make pictures out of the clouds. Hobby. Who's got a hobby? Yeah, a few of you. Who wants a hobby? You've always got time for a hobby, Carol. I did a course. Oh, there you go. I did a course with the Time Lord, because I don't think I had any time either. And the Time Lord's actually one of my good friends now. His name's Les Watson, and he travels the country talking about time management. And he guarantees if you do his course, you get an hour back every day. I've done it 5 times. Not because I didn't learn much the first time, but every time you do it, I learn something new. I now own 6 businesses. How do I get it done? And I have a hobby as well. How do I get it done? Because I use a planner. I am time managed from there. So hobbies, there's so many different things that you can do as a hobby, and you can read through the list and pick one. If there's something that you want to do, like write that book, then do it. Fuel your body. I can't say enough on this, being a Weight Watchers leader for 10 years and then working for Jenny Craig, and now just my own health. Whatever you put in your body is your fuel for your body, and your cells are replacing on the nutrients that you are putting in. Who's been away on holidays and can't wait to come home and have a veggie meal? Yeah? Okay. So that's your body telling you that you're giving it the wrong fuel. Are you giving it the wrong fuel at the moment? Do you get to the afternoon and go, oh my God, I'm so tired, I need this or this? Who here's a coffee drinker? Who reckons they can't get through the day or survive without ever having a coffee? That's a false belief. Alright, I'm highly allergic to caffeine. I haven't had a cup of coffee in 31 years and I'm pretty motivated and I'm pretty active. no caffeine whatsoever, and I haven't had chocolate since I was about 15 either. So I used to make, you still make, I presume, a really nice mud cake.
Yes.
I'm that sensitive. I'm that sensitive that when she was cooking it, I couldn't walk in the house, and it'd give me a migraine. Yeah. And I survived very well without lactose, wheat, coffee, and caffeine. I've got a list a mile long because I'm also histamine intolerant. So if I eat too many foods that have high histamines, I'm very, very ill. So make sure you're drinking enough water. If you don't drink water, start drinking it, okay? Because we are what we put into our body. Movement. You sit there and go, oh, yeah, I'm going to go for a walk. Oh, it's raining. I can't go. Oh, it's too cold. Cleanliness, it's too cold. You guys have about 2 months of the year that you could actually get out and walk. But rug up and go for that walk and make it a priority in your life. Or whatever the exercise is of your choice. You got to like what you're doing and then you'll do it. But don't go with the plan of saying, oh, I'm going to go out and walk 7 days. Every day, that's my goal. Justine said I've got to move, so I'm going to go out every day for 7 days. No. Pick 1 or 2 days, and then when you're doing that consistently, then go out and do some more. And then up it slowly. Because then it'll become part of your lifestyle. Decluttering. Anyone decluttered their house recently, or their house needs to be decluttered? Let's put, whose house needs to be decluttered?
You've seen it. You know.
I have. Alright, when you declutter your environment, your mind will declutter at the same time. Okay, so have a look. If it's all really, really overwhelming, just work on one drawer at a time. One room, one drawer. Once a week. And you'll soon get rid of stuff. I'm a bit of a hoarder in clothes. I find them happy.
You think?
Yeah. Like you and your linen, actually,
That's
Mother.
it, darling, yeah.
Yeah, just watch.
Yeah.
Fueling your mind.
Touche.
Yeah, thanks. Fuel your mind. Be careful what you're actually reading and watching. I haven't watched the news in 2.5 years. Does that make me ignorant? No. If something really important is happening in the world, one of my students will tell me, or one of my friends will mention it, and then I'll go and do my own research in it. Why does the news always feature bad things? Why is like 7/8 of the news all about the bad things that are happening in the world? Why doesn't it feature the good things? And that's on every news broadcast. So control what you're seeing. Control what you're watching on TV. You know, if you're sitting there watching, you go, oh, this is really bad. Do you sit there and watch it to the end, or do you turn it off and find something else to do or something else to watch? I don't have commercial TV anymore. The ads absolutely shit me. So I don't have them. I have some streaming things, but I'd much rather watch a documentary or listen to a podcast. There's a really good one called Resilience Mindset. And or watch TEDx talks. Control what you're seeing on your social media. Facebook has this little switch that says unfollow. Not unfriend, but unfollow. So, you know, make sure that what you're reading and that aligns with the values of what you have. If someone, every time you read their post, you get really, really cranky from it, just unfollow them. They're not going to know. I've got 2,500 people on my Facebook. That's another 3,500 that follow me. I can't keep up with everyone. Neither will you. And they won't know. They want you to know something, they'll inbox you. Okay? So be careful what you're putting into your minds. Goals and visions. Have you got a goal? Anyone got a goal set? I have several. Anyone got a vision board? You know what a vision board is? A vision board is, you can do it on a big green piece of cardboard, and everything that you want in your future, you find a picture or a word and you put it on there, and you put it somewhere where you can see it each and every day. So I did one on Canva recently, which is a designing program, very easy to use, and then I photocopied it off, and I've got one beside my bathroom mirror, there's one on the fridge, there's one screensaver on my phone, you name it, I've got it everywhere. Because dreams become reality when you set goals. Right? And if you're stuck in life, When you're facing adversity, when you have a goal, it makes it easier to work towards. And goals are an individual thing, but make them a SMART goal. So they're small, measurable, attainable, realistic and timely. If you need a hand setting goals, I'm a resilience consultant, transformation coach nowadays, and I can help you set those goals. There's my podcast on resilience mindset, and when I go back next week, season 2 is about to launch. Season 1, I've lifted all the transcripts and I'm in the process of editing that, and the book will be out early next year, and it's being published through Morpheus Publishing. Guess who owns Morpheus Publishing? That's right. So Just Art Wellness classes I started in 2019, and the one on the left is Breezer, and she's one of my good friends, and she's been coming since 2019, and she also has MS, and she's an amazing person to follow on socials. She abseils down waterfalls and she rock climbs, and she can't use her legs. Alright, so there's no excuses ever. And then there's Jen, and Jen's with me a couple of days a week. Finger painting, like I said, those two are ones that I've done that are finger painting, and that's Lizzie in the middle, who's one of my good friends. I also do now wellness and wine classes as well on a Thursday night. So like I mentioned, the resilience consulting, success and transformation consulting tailored to your needs, and I can do it over Zoom as well. So if you are stuck or something has resonated with you tonight and you need a little bit of help, just inbox me and we can work out a time to get together. So now the books. So in the last 12 months, these 4 books I have co-authored: Release the Shackles, Courage and Confidence, Raw. I actually illustrated the front cover of Raw, that's one of my paintings, and then about 3 weeks ago, Victim to Victory came out as well. The 2 in the middle are more business focused. The Release the Shackles is about my cancer story, and then Victim to Victory kind of covers absolutely everything on there that I've been through. And then this one's my pride and joy. So I wrote and illustrated last year, same but different, a book on equality and inclusion to leave for my grandchildren. Wouldn't it be really nice if we had a world that was all inclusive, regardless of sex, race, creed, religion, sex orientation? Wouldn't it be all nice if we just treated everyone equal? So I wrote this book for that generation that hasn't been corrupted yet by the world. And hopefully, I thank you for those that have bought the book tonight, and it's been selling really well. And in the next week or 2, it's going on all major online selling platforms around the world. So it'll be on Booktopia, Amazon, Target to purchase as well. So I am very proud of that one. I actually illustrated that whole book with a broken arm. So that's why it's all dotty, because I managed to block in the main character, and then just I could go like that very well with it. I'm still waiting surgery on this arm. It was broken in domestic violence nearly 2 years ago. I was thrown against a wall, and the radius was broken and the ulnar was broken, and he broke my tailbone and cracked the ulnar. Had a hematoma on my head, and he tore the cartilage in half and 2 ligaments off the bone, and it was all my fault. So this was someone that was supposed to love and I trusted, and he did that. Didn't go back to him, and he has tried to contact me a couple of times since then, and that's not something that I'm prepared to go down that path again. So if you know someone that is going through domestic violence, or you yourself are sitting there and you don't know how to get out of the situation that you're in, please inbox me and I can help you. So that book's available for purchase tonight for $20, as are the other books that I've got here. They are more expensive online, so if you wanted to grab them tonight, you can, and I do have EFTPOS here tonight as well. I've also got some of the greeting cards that I have designed and I sell. I've got 2 galleries in Geelong as well, and they're all sold in the galleries, and there's about 30 in the range now of all those cards. So this is the Queen. This is who rules the roost at home, and there's Pansy. And I've had 3D models made of Tansy, and my son Zach owns a 3D printing business and is actually a world-class drone pilot and does drone racing. So you can Google him, he's quite famous as well. And she comes to a lot of the book launches and markets that I do when she's the little superstar. And the book started because of her, because she treats everyone the same in the studio, regardless of what their abilities are. She is little Miss Anxiety Dog, and if you go to pat her, she'll pee on you, and that's not like her master. And I am going to do a book on anxiety as well, with Pansy being one of the main characters, and because I myself have been through anxiety, and look, I still get anxiety, I just now know how to control it and not let it get on top of me. Morpheus Writing Group. So I own now a printing company, a publishing company called Morpheus, and that came about with the children's book actually. I submitted it off to 31 publishers and got 5 contracts back. Looked through all the contracts and went, no, you're not going to let me do what I want to do with the book and my artwork. I'm going to start my own. So I went and did a publishing course. Actually a course, not University of YouTube, that one. And became a publisher and published Same but Different. So on a Friday from 12 to 2, I do a writing group. Now I know that you're all in Glennis, but it's a hybrid group, which means that you can join in via Zoom. So I have some people that come to the house and we sit there and eat yummy food, but you can have your lunch on the other end as well, and it's $50 for a once-off or occasional visit, or $300 for a block of 10. So if you're sitting there and you put your hand up that you want to write a book, there's no better time than next week, or this week off. So that's about it from me. Does anyone have any questions? Don't all rush me.
And you do it all.
Yes, Di.
Have you got rid of that doctor?
Oh,
Kept saying no, he doesn't wrong you?
yes.
Oh, good.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a female doctor actually, yeah. So, and that's the thing, like, she was a general practitioner. She was a GP. Now, I was outside of her scope of expertise. And rather than telling me, I can't help you, you'll have to go to someone else, she fobbed me off. Right? Now, we live in an amazing country with medical services that if you don't like what the doctor has said to you, and you know that there's something else going on with you, and they're not listening, go and find someone else. Go to another town. Go and find someone else and get the answers that you know that you deserve. Because if I hadn't, I would not be standing here today. By the time they diagnosed me with the lymphoma and the leukemia and the mixed cryo, I was stage 4. I didn't have very much longer to live without medical intervention. So it's really important that you have a good healthcare team around you. I would love to move from Geelong. I'd love to come back up north. It's really hard when I've got 2 kids and one's on either side of the country. But my medical team is massive. I have neurophysios, I have OTs, just to keep me moving. I have massage therapists, I have a chiropractor, I've got my neurologist, I've got my hematologist, the pathologist, all of that. I can't really move from where I am. I can go away for smaller holidays and that, but I have such a good team around me that I'd be silly if I, packed up and moved. Plus I own my own house, so I don't really want to leave here. Any other questions? None? Yep.
What was sort of like, at times if you sort of were feeling down, what would sort of springboard you into heading towards something positive?
Yeah, so I've been legally diagnosed with depression. I've had that diagnosis. I've been on antidepressants. I definitely know what it's like to be Alice in Wonderland going down that black hole. Nowadays, I've been on antidepressants in 10 years. And I'm pretty proud of that. I'm not saying you've got to go off your medication. Don't do that. Don't go off your medication, all right? But look at doing things that make you happy. If you're sitting there and watching, remember how I said be careful of what fuel you're putting in your mind? You're watching lots of horror shows or thrillers, or you know the news upsets you, turn it off. So I watch happy movies. I hang around with positive people now. Making art makes me really happy. And so when I'm going through a bad time, and I've recently been through a very bad time I found my partner dead on the floor 4 months ago, and I put myself back into creating lots of art because that puts me in my happy place, my really happy place, and it's my form of meditation in doing that. Be careful of what you say to yourself. You know, who calls themselves an idiot? Yeah, don't. You don't want someone else to say that to you, don't say it to yourself. Be really careful in what you're saying to yourself. And read lots of positive books. I read lots of stories and listen to podcasts on positive, inspiring people. One of my goals is to be on a TED Talk. I watch so many TED Talks. And I can share with you, I've just been asked to go to Ireland at the end of next year to be on a TEDx talk. I'm pretty bloody proud of that one, I can tell you. It's been on my bucket list for ages, so look out. And I'm going to do 2 weeks prior to it at a writer's retreat in a castle in Ireland. So, you know, follow your dreams. You don't know where they'll take you. But yeah, just, you know, be kind to yourself. Seek help. Now, I have a counsellor. I don't feel that it's my friends or family's responsibility for me to offload everything to them. I do, you know, with some things, but, you know, who gets the impression when you're talking to your family and friends and you think, oh God, she's thinking here she goes, or here he goes again, off on a tangent. So I pay someone to listen to me and they have to listen to me. They're a captured audience for 45 minutes. And nearly every fortnight for the last 10 years, I go to counselling. Her and I have a great relationship now. Last year after this happened, and I was talking to a couple of you in the room about this, I had no boundaries. I was brought up without boundaries, and I did some terrible things when I was growing up, and some of you probably heard about it here in town. I didn't have a very nice name at one particular stage. I do now, because I'm not that person anymore, because I have boundaries. And I no longer attract narcissistic men, because I have those boundaries. This was the crunch. Literally, the crunch. Will I be single for a while? Yeah, probably. Who knows what the universe has got in store for me. But yeah, surround yourself with happy people, read happy things, listen to happy music. Don't eat food to make you happy. That's probably the one thing not to do. Don't eat your feelings. You'll end up 125 kilos like I did. You know, when I moved to Perth, I realised that I was eating my feelings. Chinese. Oh my God, I love Chinese. You know why I love Chinese so much? It's the last meal I can remember my parents ever sitting down with my brother as a nuclear family and having. So when I moved to Perth, all I wanted to do was eat Chinese all the time. I'm like, what is wrong with me? I didn't want to eat the Chinese, I needed a hug, I was homesick. On the other side of the country, and I didn't know anyone except for a guy that was 18 years older than me that drank too much and was at work all the time. I just needed a hug. Right, hot jam ball donuts is another one. My nana used to make them. And so when I'm feeling lonely and that, I'm looking for a hot jam ball donut. Then when I went to Weight Watchers and then started losing weight, and when we went to Perth, I'd make my kids eat the donuts. And I was eating through them. I wouldn't eat it. I'm not eating any more donuts ever again. Zach, eat a donut. Ali, eat a donut. We don't want them. Yes, you do. Eat them. And I was eating through them. So, you know, things like that. When you're more in tune with your body and your mind, it makes life so much easier. It makes it easier to deal with each adversity that you're actually facing. It does. And that's how you gain resilience. By those 10 top tips that I gave you tonight. But it won't happen overnight. It won't. If you want a copy of those 10 top tips, please let me know and I can email them out to you. My card is on the table. Feel free to take one of the cards if we're not connected on social media. I'd love it if you follow me on social media as well, and I can email you all the slides just from the 10 top tips. I'm happy to do that. Any other questions? Don't all jump at me. Yeah.
Thank you very much for your story, and it would make a great medical journal.
So I actually do keynote speaking to the medical profession now because I do know too many big words. And it's quite funny, in high school I was in biology in year 11 and 12 and was quite good at bio and dropped it to pick up music. To pick up an extra unit in music, and who would know now that I'm out educating people on health things. But yeah. So I do have my own book coming out on resilience next year. I'm up to chapter 8 at the moment, and I developed the 7 P's of resilience. Remember how I said I couldn't count? There's actually 8. Someone counted them one day and said, you know there's 8. I'm like, no, there's only 7. She goes, no, there's 8. I'm like, oh, okay, so it's 7 plus bonus 1. I'm also in the process of writing my memoir, and I'm up to 1999, and it's a really juicy book, that one. But it'll probably take me a few more years to complete that, because that did put me back into therapy. But thank you for your kind words, Mr. Mayor. Any other questions? No? I'd like to thank you all so much for taking the time to come out tonight and support me. I'm gonna cry again. I've been nervous as hell on this one, and I talk in front of thousands, but this one was very special to me to come back and share my story with you all. Sorry. If you have got a question for me and you're a little bit embarrassed in asking tonight, that's okay, just inbox me and I can help you. Okay, so thank you. If you want a book, let me know. I can autograph them now. Just one quick story. I was at a networking event last week and I was standing there and this woman come up to me and she goes, you've got a presence about you. And I'm like, have I? Okay. She goes, you look like you should be on stage. And I'm like, oh, really? She goes, are you in a rock band? Now, I had a denim jacket on that was quite tailored and I had leather look pants. So let's give her that benefit of the doubt. I think my fake eyelashes are falling off. Let's give her that benefit of the doubt for that one, shall we? And I went, oh, well, no, actually, I'm a paid public speaker. And she goes, oh, okay then. She goes, I was going to ask you for your autograph. And I went, well, you can have my autograph, but you've got to buy a painting or a book first. And then you'll get my autograph. So I thought that was quite funny on the night. And my business coach was standing there and he was Les, the Time Lord, and he was just capping himself laughing. So that put me on a high for the rest of the day. So I may not be that classical composer and conductor, but someone thinks I'm a rock star somewhere. So anyway, have a great night, everyone, and stay resilient.
Thank you from everybody here. I'd like to thank you for sharing your wonderful story with us and all the things you've been through. It's amazing that you are able to stand in front of a crowd and tell your story. It's amazing.
Yeah, so I know I was having a bit of a joke. I don't know if it was last night or the night before because I've been in town a couple of days, and I said my totem animal, now I don't like them, is a cat. I hate cats. Sorry for those that like cats in the room, and I'm one of those ones that, you know, when you go in a room, the cats just come and swarm around you when they know that you don't like them. But I'm pretty sure that my totem animal is a cat because we've got 9 lives. And I think I've used up about 5 of them so far. So, yeah. Hang on for the ride if you're following me on social media because there's so much coming in the next couple of years. No more new businesses. I swear 6 is enough. I've also got, and it wasn't up there, was, oh, that's me. That's my little alarm to tell me I've got to go and write my book every night.
You're supposed to be home now.
Yeah, it's supposed to be home. Yeah, so, yeah, big things are coming in the next 12 months to 2 years. But anyway, have a, see, someone's a rock star. Ken! Is that you, Kenny? Kenny's wife, ex-wife, and Ken used to babysit me when I was about 8 years old. And he's come all the way from Armidale tonight to visit. So thank you. Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah, so big things are coming in the next couple of years, and with Resilience Mindset, we're going international and touring the world with that one. So if you know somewhere that would like me to speak, you think that I'd be a good fit, it won't be a freebie, except for yours, Carol, back at the beginning of February. I'm coming back in February. So maybe council might like me to come in and have a bit of a chat. I'm going to contact the high school and see if they want me to come back in and have a
They're
chat
not
in
going
February.
to give you as long to tell your story.
No, and look, I have lots of
Sit
different.
down.
I can do a story in 20 minutes, believe it or not, or take longer. But I knew tonight that if I didn't do the whole thing, Carol would have said, "But you missed stuff out." So, but anyway, there is some light refreshments up the back, and like I said, the books after sale if anyone would like to purchase one. But thank you all for coming.